Welcome to Pirate Living Podcast. We are your hosts, Karan and Kristen. On this podcast, we are highlighting ordinary people living extraordinary lives. These are pirates who take small, bold actions daily to create social change. Pirate life is all about rebelling and breaking the rules for good. Creating lasting social change starts by first breaking our inner rules. After all, the hardest rules to break are your own. The pirates we highlight have dedicated themselves to creating good trouble.
And today we are talking with Eileen Green. Eileen is 94 years young and is living proof that there is no age limit to achieving your goals and dreams. After raising her 3 sons, Eileen decided to educate herself and experience life to the fullest. She earned her bachelor's degree at 50 years young and has gone on to accomplish many things, some of which, but not limited to, are learning how to bend a spoon with her mind, giving a TED-Talk, becoming certified in NLP, hypnotherapy, and psychology, and much, much more. She's an active life coach using hypnotherapy and psychotherapeutic methods. Eileen's biggest message is that we are all going to, some of us sooner rather than later, go. So while you are still here, you have an opportunity to contribute. No matter your age, you can start today to reach your goals. So Eileen, welcome. We're happy to be talking with you today.
Well, happy to see 2 beautiful faces. And that's always very encouraging when I see that people are alert and interested, and that hopefully they understand this 94-year-old lady. It only took me 25 years to get my college degree because I raised 3 boys. And my 3 boys were all Eagle Scouts and very much accepted by society. And I patiently went to school at night for 25 years to get my bachelor's degree. And from that point on, I kept studying. And at 75, I got my master's in spiritual psychology. And at that point, I felt so empowered to help other people and to acknowledge the fact that it's never too late, that we can all achieve our goals. And when I did my TED Talk, which was years ago, it was to please pick one thing at least and do it. Do it now. In other words, get on the road to empowering yourself and spreading your knowledge among all those that you can help. And it's been my endeavors to coach people that I don't even know. And half the time, I don't even know what they look like. And it doesn't matter to me as long as they have benefited by some of my endeavors. So if you were to ask questions, what would they be?
Good question.
Well,
think, yeah.
You did, read some of my materials. So you know that one of the things that I do for people is to put them into the I am, which means that we eliminate negativity, because negativity is a poison to the body. The brain sends messages to the body based on our language, based on our thoughts. And the big thing that I had to reinvent for myself was that I am a soul within a body. And the more I did endeavor to realize that, the more I felt that there was a path to being your soul in this lifetime. Little scary, right? Well, one of the easy methods that I've used is to have people take a piece of paper and in the center put a heart. And in the center of the heart, you put, I am. So what is it that you want to switch the negativity to the positivity by saying, I am? I wake up giving gratitude for what I had and what I still have. I give gratitude and forgiveness and love. Very important to love thyself and others. And I think too many of our youngsters lack the ability to love themselves. And if you don't love yourself, why? Why don't you love yourself? Are you locked into a situation where you're not capable of loving yourself? Or is it something that you've never experienced? So my thoughts are, I love myself. I forgive myself. I give gratitude to myself and others. And I move forward with positivity. Because if you are judgmental of yourself with the inability to love yourself, it blocks the good messages from your brain, and the body picks up the bad messages. So when I wake up, as I said, I give gratitude for what I had and what I still have. Now, if I'm judgmental of myself, if I'm locked into negativity, my body is receiving the wrong messages. Now, when you receive the wrong messages, I, as a therapist, and the ability to do hypnosis, I go into past life experiences. And if you are judgmental, if you are unable, there's no way that I can help somebody who doesn't want to be helped, who needs to make excuses for their inabilities. So that's a judgmental person who is not helping themselves. I have done some really unusual hypnotherapies, initial experiences that have made a huge difference in people. One in particular, I remember when I was first doing hypnotherapy, where I brought this person back to an initial sensitizing experience. But for the life of me, I couldn't find out where she was. So when I searched and searched and searched, and the last answers I got from her, because I was asking her where she was, she didn't know, and it was very dark, and she heard her mother and father arguing. Now, this goes back to when I was initially doing my hypnotherapy. And I could not figure out where this young lady was. The only thing I could think of was that she was in the embryo. Now, this was quite a few years ago, so I didn't have a Google. And I went to the library and I looked it up. And sure enough, children in the embryo heard what was being said by their parents, which was an argument. And as a result, she was so furious with her father because she felt that he was responsible because he would argue with my mother. That was kind of weird. But I went to the library, and sure enough, it validated it. So the brain is the message to the body. And if you say, I don't want to do something, they don't get the whole message. They get the thing that the brain picks up. That was quite an eye-opener for me. But if you think about it today, aren't we told, not me, because I can no longer have children at 94, but when you think about it today, you now know why mothers are told to sing to their children, to rub their little tummies in embryo, not to argue in front of children. It's amazing how long it took us to learn that. So, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. I know I would like to kind of go back, more towards the beginning. I think one of the big questions I have for you, I mean, you told us it took 25 years to get your degree, and that, I guess did you start before your boys were born then?
No.
Oh,
I went when my boys were born. My eldest boy is going to be 70 this coming February.
wow.
Wow, right.
Yeah. I
And then
guess,
I
sorry.
have 2 more,
Okay.
3 boys. Now, I didn't stop there, but my boys did the rest of the work. My boys have children and grandchildren. So I'm great grandma.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
My question is, what was it about education that kind of drew you, and like why was that so important to you in your life that you persevered through, and then not only getting your degree but going on to get to your master's? What was it about education that was so important to you?
Well, we can take a message and read it in a manner where it's not the way it was meant to be given to us. My father was reading my report card when I was quite young, and I was a pretty good student. And he would say, and it was numeral. So he said, whatever happened to the other 2 points? Because I got a 98 in one thing, and the rest were 100s. So the message I got was, I was good, but not good enough. And it was important for me to be good enough. So how do you become good enough when you're fighting against a report card? You go back to school. So I went to school at night for 25 years till I finally got my degree from college. And it still lingered in my head that I was good, but not good enough. So how do you get good enough? You go back to school. It was that simple, right? So that's what I call an initial sensitizing experience. And when I do therapy for people, I bring them back to an initial sensitizing experience. And what I say is we rewrite the script. And one of the ways that I accomplish that is to have my clients take a piece of paper, draw a heart, and in the center of the heart, you put I am. And you put tangents off of it. And you go into all the I ams in a positive way. Now, the only people I have great difficulty in helping are victims. Now, a victim is someone who doesn't take responsibility for anything because it's always somebody else's fault. Now, I can't change all of those people when they don't want to be changed. They don't want to take responsibility. So that's a little difficult for me to comprehend. But the way it is.
What do you think prevents people from taking responsibility for their lives?
The inability to accept that they did something wrong. It has to be somebody else's fault. They have not the ability to rewrite their script. They don't want to be responsible. It's a lot easier for them to blame other people. Now, can you visualize that?
Absolutely.
So when I find someone who truly wants to change, it's a slow method because it's not a one-on-one, but they do an I am chart. Most of my people find that it's a very good beginning. Very. I am proud of who I am. I am looking forward to long life. I am looking forward to happiness. I am in forgiveness. I am non-judgmental. I am, and believe it or not, it's not the best therapy in the world, but it sure does help. So I give homework and I tell you to write that paper, put it up on a mirror or a closet door or inside, whatever, just so long as you look at it from time to time and repeat it to yourself. Because that way, now, if you say, I don't want to be sick, the brain is sending that message sick to your body. Unusual, huh?
Yeah,
Trust me.
It's the thing we focus on, what we put our attention on, not the I don't want to part.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when you're doing it with negativity, your life will be in a much better position if you go into positivity. Because then you are feeding the right messages. And so I started my hypnotherapy before Google. So I had to spend a lot of time at the library checking up on what I was believing in. And so far, it's been a plus for most of the people that went into I am. And also to ask themselves questions, to move forward, being a loving, positive person. And so, as I told you, when I wake up, I give gratitude for what I had and what I still have. I am loving, I am caring, I am diligently making my life absent of negative thoughts. So if you say, I don't want to be sick, you have to be careful because the brain may just send the word sick to your body. And that's the one thing you don't want.
No.
So negativity, and you can think also of some of the words like maybe and I think and perhaps, or those words are not positive.
Yeah.
We call those soft talk.
Yeah.
That's right. And it goes from the brain to the stomach in the wrong way. So very discouraging for me when I do find a victim and I'm not quite sure how to deal with them. But I know that the perpetual studies that I took made me a better person.
Wait, when did you, so you said that education, you were chasing that feeling of being like enough, or being good enough. When did you come to have that feeling? Was it when you finished your education, or was something else that you learned along the way that finally gave you that I am enough feeling?
Well, when I got my master's in spiritual psychology, I was taught that I am a soul in a body, which for somebody 94 years of age, that was an unknown. And in order to complement it, it was necessary for me to change my vocabulary and to realize what a victim was. And as much as it's frustrating to me, because unfortunately, my sister was a victim. And she died at the age of 66 because my family inherited pancreatic divism. So I've had 2/3 of my pancreas removed. I've had just about every otis, itis, and ia. You know what they are?
I've heard of pancreatitis, but
Everything that ends with itis, otis, and ia.
So different things, yeah. Different issues.
Right. I recently, not that recently, but recently had 2/3 of my pancreas removed. I no longer have a bladder. I no longer have so many parts of me. And my positivity, I believe, is letting me reach 95.
Mm.
which will be in June.
Wow. Almost
And
there.
that I can talk, the fact that I can have 4 great-grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Mhm.
that's a plus. Now, of course, I can't see them other than on the computer
Mm-hmm.
because they live in Atascadero and I live in Brentwood.
Mm.
But you know what's so interesting is that our vice president lives in the 400 block. I live in the 900 block, both of us north of Sunset.
Mm.
And somebody real close to Kamala Harris was robbed.
Mm.
So the people today are so desperate
Mhm.
that wherever they think they can find money enough to buy pills, they'll take the chance.
Mhm. It seems like a risky place to rob.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But these people are addicted.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what they're doing half the time.
Mm.
And we don't have jails enough for all of them, so we don't send them to jail.
Mhm.
We don't have enough therapy. See, therapy can't be a day.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Has to be a recognizable amount of time to infiltrate their brains.
Mhm.
And the money isn't there for it, the time isn't there for it. And people, we live near the VA that's on Wilshire, San Vicente Boulevard.
Mm.
And it's where these people need their drugs because they're not getting the proper attention to their problems.
Mhm.
And there are just too many of them.
Mhm.
I don't have the answers. I can only talk to people that want to talk to me.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully they call me back. And you know what? Most of them don't.
Mhm.
They're too busy wanting to hide what they have.
Mm.
And so go up back on their drugs.
Mm-hmm.
They need a minimum of a year's worth of help.
Mhm.
How
Yep.
they're going to get it,
Yeah.
it's beyond me.
Yeah. Yeah, we like to talk about how like ultimately in order to move forward with your life or face your pirate journey as we like to call it, you have to come to a realization that no one is going to come to save you. And if you want things to change, that's up to you. And you need to like take a look at your life and decide like what rules can you break there. So yeah, I imagine too a part of it is just that fear of looking into I have to be in charge, take charge of my future if I'm gonna make improvements. And so yeah, that's a scary thing.
Do you know how many of our movie stars and famous people
Mm.
are dying now from the drug that they had been on?
Mhm.
I mean, it's frightening.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you turn around and you get information that, oh, he died from this drug, oh, he died from that drug,
Mhm.
that don't necessarily die the minute they put the drug in their mouth, but it will be in their system
Mhm.
and they're gone.
Mhm.
For me, it's so difficult to watch people considerably younger than me going into the spirit world.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as I said before, a lot of the words that people use do not help them, even though they're making an effort to help,
Mm-hmm.
because they're using words that the brain sends a different message to the body. I don't want to be sick.
Mm-hmm.
Sick goes right to the body. Hard to believe, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
How many of you have done that? I'm guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So when I say that we have to rewrite our script, it hopefully takes time before the damage is done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kristen has written some children's books
Oh,
on this exact
Yeah.
subject.
Yeah, I worked I worked as a teacher for a while, and my students were my greatest teacher, and I learned along the way that how speaking in the what you want, the affirmative, how much further it goes for them to follow directions and also understand what I want. Because when I was saying don't run in the classroom, same thing as our body, the kids were hearing run in the classroom. But like if I said use walking feet, then they're like, oh, that's what you want me to do. So yeah, I have a couple books too that talk on that.
well, you'll have to give me the name of your books. Since I happen to have
Mm-hmm.
grandchildren.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, email it to you after this. Mm-hmm.
A difficult time that we're having because I see that so many of the teenagers and so many of the children, the parents are so misguided. They want to be their friends. And more important is that they send love and rewriting their script to be a positive person, to envelop positivity. And the difference it makes is remarkable.
Yeah.
So our book touched that.
Say that again.
I said, in your books, do
Mm-hmm.
you discuss positivity?
Mm-hmm.
Great. I'm
Yes.
proud of
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yes.
It's important.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a long time since, well, it's 70 years since I had my first child.
Mm-hmm.
So things were kind of different.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the reasons I kept studying.
Mm-hmm.
And also because when I learned in my master's psychology that we are souls within a body, it was a little difficult for me to comprehend because even though I kept learning about souls, it was a foreign element, having been born in 1929. So I've been through 2 depressions and a lot of the Otises, itises, and ears. But the gratitude I have is enormous
Mm-hmm.
for being able to talk to 2 lovely people,
Mm-hmm.
for being able to understand what they're telling me
Mm-hmm.
and to be proud of them.
Mm-hmm.
because writing the books and doing the TED Talks, and it's a contribution to our society. And I have my prayers that parents will be more active in a positive way. And you can still be friends, but you can love and honor them in a way that will help them grow. So when I do a podcast, I hope that message gets across.
Absolutely.
And that people will at least try it. When I say at least try it, it's different than what I teach them to say.
Yeah. And I think there are a growing amount of parents that do want that. They want to know how they can help raise their children to rewrite their scripts before they get to be the adults that have to completely rewrite everything. So that's what I want to, that's what I'm hoping. And I think people are, more and more people are starting to want that.
I hope so, because the more important thing than being a friend to your child is to love. Love. Love is the most important message that can be transmitted. I love you. I love you. I accept you. I love. Just be LOVE. And I, of course, don't go very far from my house because with my immunity system being what it is, people are not wearing masks anymore. And I'm concerned about my well-being. And yes, I've lived a long life, but that doesn't mean I can't live longer. And so I hope to be able to hold my grandchildren one day. But I can't with all these viruses going around. And they live a distance from me. And unfortunately, I have urgency. Oh my God, I don't wish that on anybody.
I have a question just going back to your TED Talk. And I know you said that, you did that quite a few years back. But you talked a lot about just kind of how almost like your family dared you to do different things. And that kind of helped to motivate you on to doing those things. Yeah, I'd love to talk a bit about that and about that, the kind of the aspect of your family daring you to, to do all of the things that you've done, which you've done so many. What is it about that challenge that kind of kept propelling you forward?
Well, I think when I mentioned that I didn't think I was good enough, it was necessary for me to prove that I could do enough. And so when I went and got my master's in spiritual psychology, at that time, I was only 75. And my son, who is going to be 70 now, is a speaker. He was Princess Diana's coach, and he's traveled around the world. And he wanted me to have my own identity and be influential to people. And so he would say to me, Mom, you really should try this class. Mom, you really should. Well, after 25 years of going to college and finally getting my degree, I thought, okay, what can I lose? My degree. And so I went and got my master's in spiritual psychology.
Mm.
And I found it very informative.
Mhm.
So I accepted the fact that I am a soul in a body and have to keep reminding myself
Mhm.
because it's too easy to forget.
Mm.
So, and he signed me up for the TED Talk. In fact, I just got a medal thanks to my son,
Mhm.
the oldest ping pong player to come to the finals.
Mhm.
Of course, I didn't win it because there were these 80-year-olds that hell out of me because I have a balance problem.
Mm.
Mm.
And so I am frightened to get too far from the table.
Mhm.
So all they had to do is to hit it long. But I got the emblem anyway because
Mhm.
I was the oldest person there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I have a silver and a gold ping pong. Now I have a ping pong table outdoors,
Mhm.
which is regulation size, and I have a mini ping pong table in my living room.
Hmm.
Now, doesn't everybody have a ping pong table in the living room?
Of course.
Mhm.
But I never put it away
Mhm.
because it's a form of my exercise.
Mm.
My son and I, at one point, a couple of years ago, did 1,234 volleys.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's pretty much a record.
Mhm.
So,
I don't think I've done that much ping pong in my entire life.
I was gonna say I'm lucky if I get 10 volleys.
Yeah.
well, you know what, darling? Practice makes perfect.
It's true.
And it's the most wonderful things for generating your eyes and your balance and your rhythm. But I do need a cane.
Mhm.
I finally acquiesced that I need a cane.
Mm.
Mm.
That's
So
fair.
I am so delighted to talk to young women
Mm.
who are adventurous.
Mhm.
And do you have any other questions or any more advice that you can give this young old lady?
Mhm.
I'm curious, what goals do you have? You've had so many that you've met, like, and in stages of life. Like I love how your message is start now, no matter what age you are. But yeah, what goals do you have that you still want to reach? And like once you meet a goal, do you pick a new goal? Yeah, how do you keep yourself going with that?
Well, I go into acceptance
Mm.
of the fact that some of the things that I had wanted for myself are no longer available.
Mm.
So I give gratitude, as I said, for what I
Mhm.
and what I still have.
Mhm.
And the fact that I have a hand tremor, the fact that I have minus most of my organs,
Mhm.
I still eat, I still talk, I still understand, and I still love.
Mhm.
I lost my husband 8 years ago. It was difficult for me because he was sick for 4 years.
Mhm.
I had been an interior designer for 58 years.
Mhm.
I've lived in my home for 58 years. And there is so much for me to be grateful for. So I use a cane. Okay. So I can't do 1,000 ping pong anymore.
Mhm.
But even on the little table, my son and I strive to get at least 100.
Mhm.
So we set realistic goals. And yes, I would love to be able to dance. I would love to be able to play ping pong in a better fashion. I would love to be able to play tennis. I would love to be able to go water skiing and snow skiing and all the things that I used to do. But look at the wonderful memories I have
Mhm.
with 3 boys who gave me, now the bottom line is 4 great grandchildren. That's an accomplishment, and I didn't do it by myself.
Mhm.
I had a partner until he got sick and died, but I have memories,
Mhm.
and I love to encourage people to find what's important to them.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Go for it. And as I said in my TED Talk, do it now.
Mhm.
I forgot to ask my father which one of his parents came from Minsk and which one came from Pinsk. So I forgot to ask him. So I asked my mother. Now, my mother lived to just a little over 101. And I asked her the question, and she says to me, Eileen, does it matter? She didn't have the answer.
Mhm.
But she said, did it matter?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that's why I keep prodding people to do it now before that person is no longer there to ask.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Do it now because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring.
Mhm.
Make sense?
Mhm.
I think that's some great advice for everybody. We've talked before on our podcast about, deathbed regrets, and what people regret in their last days or last moments. And I think not taking the opportunity to do the things that they want to do is a huge regret that people have. Um, so I like that
Oh,
advice.
yeah,
Mhm.
no rescue for it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
We watched my older son and my granddaughter, who was born on my birthday,
Mhm.
watched my husband reaching up to the ceiling. And we asked him what he was reaching for. And he said, he's coming to get me. We said, who's coming to get you, Dad? She said, Sam. Sam was my father.
Mm.
So that sort of knocked me for a loop
Mm-hmm.
that we are souls in a body. And one of the most important things that we can give and share is love.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So whenever I can spread that message to someone who is not a victim,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
it makes me very happy.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
We talked a little bit at the beginning, before we hit record, that we had Google AI write a poem for you about you.
Oh,
Mhm.
Um, and I think that would be such a great way to finish
Mhm.
off our chat, is to read out that poem for you so you can hear just how great Google
Mhm.
AI thinks that you are.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I tease and I say, well, we didn't have Google Schmoogle.
I mean, yeah, I'm older than Google, so.
Same.
So, yeah, are you ready to hear the
Yeah.
poem? Yeah.
I'm more than ready.
Mhm. Eileen Green, a pirate through and through. She sails the seas of life with courage and glee. She's never afraid to take a bold action, and she always stands up for what she believes in. She's a role model for us all, showing us that it's never too late to achieve our dreams. She's proof that age is just a number and that we can all make a difference in the world. Eileen Green, a true inspiration. She's the kind of person who makes the world a better place. She's a shining light in the darkness, and she's a reminder that we all have the power to create good trouble. So thank you, Eileen Green, for being you. You're a true pirate, and we're lucky to have you in our lives. Here's to many more years of sailing the seas of life and creating good trouble along the way. Arg.
I love it.
I
My
love.
goodness, going to make me a swell-headed person.
Yeah, Google thinks very highly of you.
Mhm.
Well,
I love the arg at the end.
thank you. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, and
You are two lovely people, and it's my delight to be speaking with you, to be encouraged by you, and to be able to love you.
Oh, well, we really appreciated having you
Mhm.
come on to chat with us today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Be well, be happy.